In a world where everyone wants everything instantly, a small gray kitten waited quietly by a closed. Her name was Misty, and she lived in a busy shelter where people always rushed past her. Most people wanted the playful kittens who jumped and meowed loudly to get their attention right away. But Misty sat in the back of her cage with a calm look in her deep amber. A man named David visited the shelter every weekend looking for a companion to fill his home. He was a very impatient man who always looked at his watch and hated waiting for anything. David wanted a cat that would instantly love him and play with him without any hesitation. Every time he approached Misty, she would just blink slowly and stay in her quiet safe. David felt frustrated and wondered why this kitten was not excited to see a potential new owner. The shelter worker told him that Misty was teaching him the most important lesson of all, which she explained that true friendship cannot be rushed and it grows slowly like a beautiful summer. David decided to take Misty home, but he expected her to be his best friend by sunset. When they arrived, Misty immediately hid under the large wooden sofa and did not come out. David tried to pull her out with a toy, but she stayed perfectly still in the dark. He grew angry and thought about taking her back to the shelter the very next morning now. But then he remembered the worker's words and decided to sit on the floor and just. He waited for 1 hour, then 2 hours without saying a single word or moving a muscle. Finally, he saw a small gray paw reach out from under the sofa to touch his own. It was a tiny moment, but it felt like a massive victory for a man who hated. Misty slowly crawled out and sat near David's leg, but she did not let him pet. David realized that he had to earn her trust 1 second at a time was a lot. Over the next week, he stopped looking at his watch and started looking at Misty's small. He learned to wait for her to approach him instead of forcing her to be very. Patience was like a new muscle that David was exercising every single day in his quiet. One evening, while David was reading a book, Misty jumped onto his lap and started to. The sound of her purr was the most rewarding thing David had ever heard in his life. He realized that the best things in life are always worth the long and difficult wait. Misty had taught him that rushing through life makes you miss the most beautiful small. David started applying this new patience to his work and his relationships with other people too. He became a calmer person, and his friends noticed that he was much more pleasant too. They asked him how he changed, and he simply pointed at the small cat on the. Misty was a master teacher who used silence and time to change a man's entire heart. One day, David was stuck in a long traffic jam, but he did not feel angry. He just smiled and thought about Misty waiting for him at home with her calm amber. He realized that frustration is just a choice and patience is a much more powerful. They spent their years together in a house that was now filled with a deep sense. Misty would wait by the door every day, not with anxiety but with a quiet peaceful. She knew that David would return because their bond was built on a very solid. People started coming to David for advice on how to stay calm during very stressful. He told them that they should adopt a cat and learn the art of waiting for. Patience is not just waiting, it is how we behave while we are waiting for something. Misty proved that even a tiny kitten can have a huge impact on a human's busy. David wrote a small article about his journey with Misty, and it went viral on the. Millions of people realized that they were also rushing through their lives without any real. They started to slow down and appreciate the small moments of joy that they usually Misty became a symbol of the slow life movement, inspiring thousands to find their own. She sat on David's desk while he worked, reminding him to take breaks and just. The house was no longer a place of stress but a sanctuary of time and deep. David realized that Misty had saved him from a heart attack caused by his own. He gave her the best treats and the softest beds, but she only wanted his. Their story is a reminder that we should all stop and breathe in the busy. The world will keep moving fast, but we can choose to walk at our own. Misty grew old and gray, but her spirit remained as patient as the very first. David held her in his arms and thanked her for the life lesson that changed. She closed her eyes and purred, knowing that she had finished her mission on this. David is still a calm man who never rushes and always has time for a. He knows that everything happens in its own time and there is no need to. The legacy of a small kitten lives on in every calm breath that David takes. May we all find our Misty and learn the power of being patient in this world. Thank you for watching and please subscribe to learn more lessons from our furry little